This kid's fire.
What's that? What's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, What's that? What's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother,
Yes, people, welcome back to another stream, man. We got back with another episode of L Bins. Unfortunately, since the last time me and Nobbins did an L Bins episode, our season has just fucking died. I'll be real. We've collapsed, chat. The season is dying a slow death. We are still in the final. We're still in the FA Cup. But the two majors, it is an L. So we're going to unpack it, man. How the hell did this happen? What went wrong? How can we stop this from happening in the future? What does our manager need to do? What do the players need to do? Do we need new players? Do we need a new manager? Do we need a new board? Do we need a new fan base? Do we need a new stadium? I don't know. We're going to discuss it all on today's episode of Elbin. Smash the likes. Make sure you guys are subscribed as well. But Nobbins, man, how you doing, bro? You good, yeah?
Yes, I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm doing fine. I'm going to go to the gym after this. It's going to be a good day, I've decided.
Do I look a bit weird on the camera, by the way?
I think you look a bit sharper.
Sharper? What the hell? I feel like, this feels weird, bro. What the hell?
I
Let me check
don't
my
know.
camera settings. It definitely feels weird. It feels off, doesn't it?
I think this looks like there's a higher contrast going on or something. Maybe.
I've not changed anything on the system. I don't know what's
The
going
blacks look a bit richer, I think. Maybe.
on. I don't know if I like it. It feels weird, bro. Let me zoom in. Yo, chat. 1 2 1 2. Testing. I don't know. It looks weird. Anyway, is what it is. What's gone on, man? I can't believe this season's like. I can't believe it, mate. I genuinely can't believe. I'm still shook. I'm still absolutely shook. I can't believe that we're in a situation where we've just drew against two relegation threatened sides in the space of a week and been dumped out of the Champions League. I can't believe it, mate. I actually can't believe it. I'm stunned. What's your sort of like? How are you feeling, first of all?
It's, I guess, sort of, in a weird way, sort of half relief, because this has been a season where I've obviously wanted to believe at the start, and then it got a point where I basically abandoned the idea of winning the title, and then they kept roping me back in, and so that was annoying me. So I guess that now in my head I can definitely depart my train. I bought my ticket after the Spurs game, and now I'm basically on the train, like it's departing the station essentially. So I guess relief in a way that I'm now able to get on my train. But yeah, it is weird. And I don't really know what to make of it, because I think that I can accept and I can buy that this year on paper could have been a transitional year. We've gone from one of the oldest squads to one of the youngest squads in the league. I get that. I understand that argument. I've seen people say we never had a chance to win the league, and I sort of half accept that. But I don't really fully accept it because this hasn't been a season where you've had to be this perfect imperious force to win the title. It seems likely that Arsenal are going to win the title with maybe even mid-80s points. They might not even need to get to high 80s or early 90s points. So I think that this was a wasted opportunity for City. I do believe that there was a title-winning squad in there somewhere. I think we lost our way along the way at one point, and I think that it maybe speaks to Pep's confusion, perhaps this season. I think he's struggling to ratify in his head how his team should be playing. He's even accepted that he made like an error for the lineup against West Ham. How often do we hear Pep accept that he's made errors like that? I think that he's not quite cracked how to deal with this Premier League. It seems to me I've been struggling it with myself also this season. It seems that we could have gone one of two ways. We could have either doubled down on like techie balls, as you like to say, or we could have gone more so down the physicality, dual winning, direct route. And in my opinion, too often we've done the latter, and I think that materialized the best in that West Ham lineup when you're seeing players like like Semenyo playing as like the key number 10, for example. The idea being, well, we want a physical presence in there instead, but you're sacrificing someone like Shirky as a consequence of that. And in a season where set pieces are so dominant, and having athletes and having these physical profiles is so important. It seems that Pep's going more, again, too many times in my opinion, has gone towards this route. And my issue with that is you're never really going to out Arsenal. I'd rather we gone down the against the grain route of doubling down on the more technical players and play our own way rather than going with the crowds. And I think that too often this season we haven't done that. It was worrying to me when Pep said, he was asked about fitting Shirky into the side and Doku into the side at the same time. And Pep said something like, I'm finding it challenging to balance the two. And we tried it earlier in the season and he didn't feel it. He didn't feel like it worked. That really concerns me because I felt that those games were our best this season. That period where we played Bournemouth and Liverpool at home, for example, and we had Shirky and Doku both starting in the team. I thought that was the direction we should have gone down, but Pep seems to be suggesting anyway that was the wrong way to go down.
I'm with you. I couldn't believe it when I heard what he was saying in the press conference the other day about that, because that's how I think you unlock Erling Haaland. We spoke a lot about Erling Haaland on the channel. I'm sure you spoke about him as well, and his lack of goals. And chances are sparing, and he's not getting the greatest chances. Of course, he needs to move more and work harder. Blah blah blah. But I think one of the ways of unlocking Haaland is by playing Cherki and Doku, and we have done it before. And when Pep come out and said, basically, I'm not going to do it because it won't work. It's not balanced enough. I was just like stunned by that, because I'm like, well, you better fucking drop Haaland then, mate, because no one's creating anything for him in terms of like legit chances. They're the two main ones. I mean, if we take the game that we played at the weekend, for example, against West Ham, the two players that I think should be started in the center of the pitch, Doku and Cherki, they were the two players that created the best chances for Haaland. So when he says in the press conference or the post match interview or whatever that we can't play them two together because it's not balanced enough, it is balanced enough if you play the right players around them. Yeah, that's the point. If you start allowing Bernardo Silva to run up the pitch and leave Rodri on his own behind, then yeah, it won't be balanced. But it's nothing to do with Cherki and Doku. So I was quite stunned by that. And I think he's confused. I agree with you. I think he's confused. I don't think he knows his best team. And I do think we probably have abandoned Pep's principles of the tech and keeping the ball. And we've probably moved too much to the other way, I suppose, maybe in the way that we're playing. But I don't know, man. It just feels like we're a bit lost as a team. It feels like we're not sure on the style. We don't know how to move forward. Are we going to move towards this sort of like more of a physical team? But then you've still got some techie players like Reinders, who doesn't really suit the sort of get stuck in and, be really difficult. He's a technical player. So I feel like this summer, when the season ends, and maybe they should start talking about it now, I really think that they need to have a sit down, the manager, the board, and go, right, what we doing here? Yeah, pick a way of going. Do we want to go back to being a technical football team? And if so, we need to double down on that. Or are we going to go full aggressive mode? But whatever we do, we need to pick it and stick with it and commit to it and say, this is how we're going to play. Because it definitely feels at the moment like we're a bit lost. It feels like we're lost as a team and we don't know how to play. We're playing counter-attacking football earlier in the season. We're playing quite well. Then we moved to possession-based. Now he's going to wingers with Savio and Doku. When before it was working with inside wingers with Cherky. And so it just feels like we're very lost in the way that we're playing. Pep don't really know what the best team is, even though I felt that he was almost there. I felt like he pretty much nailed it with the back four, the three in midfield, and then the Marmoush, Semenyo, Haaland. It was just for me, drop Semenyo or Haaland and play Cherky. That was it. It just feels like we're a bit lost, mate. And I don't know, like what the club do this summer, but they have to commit to a direction and move forward.
Yeah, I don't really know what the solution is, which I guess is the most upsetting thing. I would like to think that I'm just not smart enough to know what the correct... No, what am I saying here? I would like to think that the squad building is such that I'm not smart enough to see the vision, basically, and that we're just, a player away from the jigsaw being complete, or, a couple players away from it being complete. I would like to think that, but I don't know how much of that is just like hope and cope, because I haven't really... I've made my thoughts known on Viana. I've not been that impressed with him overall. I think that the squad building has been confused, and it has led to this situation where seemingly our manager is confused, the fan base is confused. Even external people like other fans of other clubs are also confused with like City's approach, and it's a shame because I don't know. I'm not saying much of value here, but I don't know what the answer is ultimately. I still really think there was a squad which could have won the title. I thought we were on the right lines. Okay, some things didn't help us, like some players being out injured, but every team gets injuries. You've got to deal with them. You got to cope. You got to respond well, and we ultimately didn't respond well. That's absolutely on us. And yeah, I don't know what the ultimate medium to long term direction is. I don't want to sound too depressing here. Hopefully it's just a short-term blip, but I don't know what the longer-term direction is, assuming that Arsenal and Liverpool improve and all the other teams around us improve as well, because I'd expect Arsenal to crack on in the summer and remedy their squad building issues as well. So it might get even more challenging for us as well.
Well, when you look at the team, right, what do you think the best way with these group of players is to set them up, right? Because we're talking about how we think Pep doesn't really know his best 11 and doesn't know the best way to play. And that's probably evidenced by the fact that he's chopping and changing centre-backs, he's chopping and changing the midfield, he's chopping and changing the front three, right? I think, and I'm sticking to this, I think he'd almost got it. When he got the back four, yeah, and it was Nunes, Diaz, or Kuzanov, depending on who you're playing. I'll probably go Kuzanov now. Gay, Aït-Nouri, the midfield of O'Reilly, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and he was playing the front three of Semenyo, Marmoush, and Haaland. He was doing that about 3 or 4 weeks ago, right? I felt like that was pretty much right. All he needed, but the problem with that team is that it lacked creativity, and you saw that in some of the games that we were playing, right? So I just felt all he needed to do, I think he'd done it. I think he'd found the system. We were good defensively. We had a solid midfield. We weren't getting cut open in midfield. The only change that he needed to make was drop either Semenyo or Marmoush and play Cherky in the 10, or drop both of them and play Doku and Cherky inside. But then you got to get your wing backs forward. And I was saying it on the channel. I said, he's there. He's found it. He's found the system. All he needs to do now, it was so obvious. All he needs to do now is just play Cherky and drop Semenyo or Marmoush. And then he just completely changed the whole thing again. And I was like, oh my God. I felt like that team was probably the best team that we've had. It just lacked a little bit of creativity because you've got 3 killers up front, Semenyo, Marmoush and Haaland. So Marmoush wasn't getting any chances. But then he went and changed it all again. And I don't understand why he didn't just try that, because it was a good team. It was solid at the back. We weren't conceding too many goals. We were pretty solid at the back. The midfield was solid. We had the physical presence in O'Reilly. O'Reilly was doing great. I thought Bernardo Silva was playing the best football we've seen in over 2 years. Yeah, and Rodri was just progressing the ball up nicely. And all it needed was that one change for me. Yeah, drop one of the front two and put Cherky in, and he completely changed it again. So what do you think do you agree with me, first of all, that was the solution? And if not, what do you think it is? And do you think maybe he'll go back to that? Do you think maybe now he'll be looking at like the last 6 months and say, what's the best team? Do you think he could go back to that system?
I really didn't like the 4-2-2, to be honest with you. And I don't think Pep liked it either, because when he was asked a question basically about why are you playing like this, his answer was because I have to, because I don't have the other players available. I don't think Pep wants to play that sort of setup where it's incredibly narrow. He was sort of, and there is more of an emphasis on playing outlet ball, but I think that he felt he had to. I think that maybe the main dilemma that Pep was having with just like, slotting Cherky into that side is because it means that let's say you're swapping Semenyo out because of for Cherky, Semenyo offers so much to the off-ball work, whereas Cherky's a player who, out of possession, I'm not saying that he's lazy or anything, because I've made my thoughts on his out of possession. No, I think it's underrated, but he is still a player that you do need to accommodate. And I think it's harder to accommodate him more so in that setup, because I think the best way to play Cherky out of possession is to play him at right wing, out of possession. If you play him in that setup, then it usually means you have to play him at the right side of the diamond. And that's one of the hardest out of possession roles to play, because quite often you get into a situation where if the opponent commits another player to the build-up, then often either the player on either side of the diamond midfield out of possession has to often pick up two players. So they often have to do the job of two footballers. Now, if you've got a player like Semenyo, he can do that really, really well. And I think that's why Pep was pushing for him to play quite often. I can't remember the exact game. There was a game where he played right centre midfield in a big game. It might have been Anfield. I can't remember the one exactly. Sorry, I can't remember. But Cherky it's not his fault. I think it was against Chelsea where he got a bit exposed on that side when Chelsea just dropped another player back. So I think that is the concern for Pep anyway. He's not. He said it himself. He doesn't think there's a balance there, and it's perhaps harder to achieve that if you play this 4-2-2. I would have preferred us to go back to the period where we were playing 2-3-5. Personally, I felt that was our best football, where we had Cherky and Doku as our two number 10s, and we had, at that point, we had O'Reilly and Nunes holding the width, and behind them you have, it was actually Nico at that time. It was Nico, Foden, Bernardo. You had Bernardo in the deeper role. You had Foden in his deeper role as well. I felt that was when we played our best football, personally. So I don't like the 4-2-2, and maybe that's why he didn't want to pump for Cherky, because of that potential weakness. It's to do with that second line of pressure. I don't know if you want to get like the tactics board out or anything, but if you want me to explain anything, but that's basically what it is. If the opponent drops another player back, then all of a sudden the right side of the diamond or the left side of the diamond all of a sudden has a lot of out of possession work to do. And Cherky, I don't think he ever will be that player. It's not his fault. So I think that's maybe why Pep is not opting to start him in those instances.
The thing is, though, right? Yeah, that team that you said, then, yeah, I like that one as well. But this is why I think Pep is. I don't get why he's saying that you can't play Doku and Cherky in those positions.
I don't get that either, because I think you can do it if you do it correctly and if you have the right structure. Because I've seen it work.
Exactly.
So I don't agree with Pep there.
I don't agree with him either, because I think we've played well when we've seen those two players, Doku and Cherky, in those advanced positions. Yeah, so long as you've got the players around them. Yeah, more so Cherky. Doku does quite well, but so long as you've got the players around them to compensate, yeah, and that you're right. You have the three players behind, yeah, and you have to push your full backs forward, yeah, otherwise you'll have no width, right? So whether you play O'Reilly left back or you play Nori, whatever. Yeah, like, and Nunes has to get forward as well. But I think that gives you a real solid base. You've got to play Cousinov, I would say, probably because you want to have that sort of protection, sort of like the ball over the top type thing. And I personally wouldn't be playing Foden in that just because of the way he's playing. I probably would play.
You could play O'Reilly there.
Yeah, I'd play O'Reilly and I'd play Nori left back. But I agree. Like, I like that team. And like when I look at that team, I don't look at that team and think it's unbalanced.
No,
let me get it up on screen, right? And we can see if the chat think it's unbalanced. I really don't see that this team is an unbalanced team. Like, I think it's very balanced. And it was sort of similar to a degree of what we were seeing a couple of weeks ago, and obviously slightly different. But chat, does anybody think this team is unbalanced, right? Because I don't. Nobbins doesn't. Yeah, and I think as well. We'll go through the pros and cons of this as well. We can go through the pros and cons of this team, right? And because when I look at this, first of all, this man right here is struggling big time. He's struggling big time, right? This team for me, bro, is the best team that you could play to create chances for Doku. Sorry, for Haaland. I really think so. I think these are the best. These two players right here in these positions are the two best players to create chances for him. Right? They just are. I was
going to say, I think they are objectively the most creative passers in the league, or maybe like Shirky's the most creative passer and Doku's the most creative dribbler. I don't know what the exact thing is, but it's something like that.
Yeah. So I like this team. This is what I've been saying. This is the team that I think he should play. Yeah, and then obviously you can have obviously it depends. He can either go out there and he can come in, or he can go down there, like whatever. Like, I mean, you've got a few options here. Yeah, you've got a few options here. What do you like? Do you like Bernardo going out wide and him coming inside?
No. You need to have, if you can have Nunes, he has to be playing as the right width holder. Yeah, I think that. Another thing to say is, and this isn't, I'm not having a go at our Ballon d'Or winner, obviously, because he's Rodri, but I had a realization sort of a week or so ago where I was just, I think that my chat were asking me what are my favorite performances from this season and that sort of thing. And I was like, I put it down to a top 3. And my favorite performances from this season have been Liverpool at home, Bournemouth at home, and Newcastle away in the Cup. And I realised that Nico actually started all of those games. Now, I'm not saying that correlation equals causation, and I'm not having a go at Rodri, obviously, but is it a coincidence that in my personally subjective favourite performances, Nico has actually started, the player who this season anyway has actually provided a lot more out of possession support than Rodri. Again, it's not about having a go at Rodri because he's a better player than Nico, but if the trade-off is you get a more solid out of possession player, but it means that you can more readily accommodate a Shirky, is that trade-off worth it? And I think that given that Rodri's coming back from injury and given that Shirky is seemingly such a fantastic player, does it make sense to actually field Nico instead of Rodri in order to achieve that balance? That's a question. I'm not saying it's definitely something that has to happen.
Yeah.
I just found it interesting that in my personal top 3 favorite games from this season, it was actually Nico that was starting. Is that because he gives us such a really solid out of possession or rest defense base for which the attacking players can build upon and be platformed successfully upon?
Yeah. Nah, I hear it, man. I mean, the best DM performance of the season for me was Nico at St James's Park. I thought it was absolutely exceptional.
Is that in the the FA Cup game? Or the League Cup game, whenever it was.
Yeah. I thought he was he got my man of the match. The one where Sabio did well, that one.
Yes, that's my third favorite performance. Yeah.
The thing is, it's like, what would you do then? Do you just swap him out, or do you drop Bernardo or O'Reilly and play them both?
You can't get rid of Bernardo. I think is pretty crucial. And Pep doesn't want to do it. Pep doesn't want to field both Rodri and Nico. I think that it's annoying because I think that I think that starting Nico at the Bernabeu could have been alongside Rodri, could have been a really interesting setup to go for. You and I discussed it earlier in the season. We said for those big away games in the Champions League or a big game at St. James's Park, do you play both Rodri and Nico Gonzalez in the same midfield? But we haven't seen them start a game together ever, I don't think. Which is a shame because I would have liked to have seen him experiment with it and then we would know whether it worked or not because Nico's barely played in his Porto position for City. He's played barely as an 8. The one time he did play as an 8, he actually scored a goal against Bournemouth, didn't he, last season? But outside of that, he's just never played.
I think the idea was correct. He's just done it with a different player, Nico O'Reilly. Now, I know they're not exactly the same, but the whole idea, the whole reason I was saying it, I don't know what other people were saying it for, but the reason I said play Nico and Rodri together is because of that physical presence. And even though I would have liked to have seen it, he has kind of done what I've asked. He's just done it with a different player, Nico O'Reilly, who's done a fantastic job, by the way. Yeah, he's done a fantastic job in that midfield. But, you know, I mean, obviously, I am cool with dropping Rodri. He's obviously not at the levels that we need him to be. I think we've spammed him out because Pep probably wanted to try and get his fitness levels up there for the title running. But it's not quite happening. And now we're out the title race. Well, I think we are. And we're out the Champions League, which I think we are. So I think for me now, if we're being honest, if we're like looking ahead to maybe this weekend, cup final, I think you've got to go with players that are in form and that have played the best. And I think Nico Gonzalez probably is playing better than Rodri right now. And he looks fitter than Rodri. And I think maybe you do have to make that call. It is a big call because it's Rodri. But this Rodri isn't fully fit. He's obviously not quite, he's not at the match sharpness that Nico G has. And I think this weekend, maybe you have to be brave and you have to go, no, we're not playing. It kind of reminds me of when Spurs played Liverpool in the Champions League final. And Pochettino had a decision to make with Harry Kane. Harry Kane was not fit at all. Yeah, he'd only just come back from an injury. He was miles off it. And that day, Pochettino should have dropped Kane and should have benched him. And he said, you're not fit. He was nowhere near fit. And he didn't. He played him, right? And you could tell within minutes that the guy was miles off the pace. I feel like this is a similar situation with Rodri in that it's a difficult call to make because it's Rodri and it's, you know, who he is and Ballon d'Or, all that kind of jazz. But I don't think he's not fully fit. He's still not match fit. And you've got Nico Gonzalez there, which you've just said. And I agree. All our best performances this season, or at least the top 3 or 4, have come with him in the side. And in the last game that he played against Newcastle at a tough place to play in an FA Cup game at St. James's Park, he dropped a man of the match performance, in my personal opinion. So looking ahead to the weekend, I probably would drop Rodri and I would play Nico G. As crazy as it is, and it's a big call, but I think you have to do it, man.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that complicates things a little bit is that there's no Gvardiol in the back line. So one of Rodri's best assets, obviously, is the difference that he makes in phase 1 play, build-up play. So Nico is nowhere near the level of Rodri. So
I would say, though, against sorry to interrupt, just to come in on that point, I did think against Newcastle, his forward passing was exceptional. It was probably the best I've ever seen. The way he was moving the ball up the pitch, Nico, it looked like Rodri. Like that's one of the things that I think when Rodri come back from the injury, the second injury, and he come back into the team, one of the things you noticed straight away was how much Rodri pushes the ball forward and drives it forward with his passing. But maybe Nico G's learning because against Newcastle, you saw it. I'd never seen it before, like how much he was moving the ball forward. But obviously, that was just a one-off game. It might have just been a fluke that he was doing that. But that is a problem, you know, with the build-up play. Because what you can, and then you're inviting pressure, aren't you? Because what you end up seeing, you see this all the time. Bernardo will come here. Yeah, he'll go there. You know what I mean? And before you know it, they're pressing you. And you're under mad press on the edge of your penalty area, and you can't get the ball out, and it becomes this sort of like real bad situation where you can't get the ball out from your own penalty area. You're just getting cut for 90 minutes.
Yeah, and outside of Rodri, Gvardiol is the most important player for our phase one place, and not having Gvardiol in there weakens that chain even more so than it already is. So it means if you have Nico in there as well, does that disable you from playing like we were playing earlier in the season when we had a similar setup? So that would be the counter to having Nico play instead of Rodri, would be that, well, our build-up's already worse with Gvardiol not being in the side. Can you take Rodri out of that and still be a functioning side if a team engages in a high press? That's another question to have, and maybe that's why Pep is so adamant on playing Rodri continually, because he knows that without Gvardiol there and with all our other issues this season, it's challenging to play like that without having Rodri on the pitch. We're having issues even with Rodri on the pitch, so one can assume it would get even worse if we didn't field him. So maybe that's the rationale. I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that maybe that's the thought process of to why we haven't really seen him as much as we may have wanted to this season.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what he does, man. Let me have a look at some of these chats that have come in. Guys, if you've not done so already, man, make sure you guys are smashing the like button, man. There's 800 people locked in. Let's get the likes up. Let's make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well. If you're new, make sure you guys are subscribed to Nobbins' channel as well. Big up to Massam. He says, last year as the season progressed, we got better with a worse squad. But why are we getting worse this season with a much better squad? I think he's changing it too much. I think he's confused. He's more confused. I think last year, I think he started to get it a little bit. I don't know. I think the manager's worse this year than he was last year. I think the manager's making mistakes. We have also gone to a lot of a younger team, which means that I think they're naive. I think some of the stuff that they do on the pitch is a bit silly. And Bernardo Silva spoke about this a lot in post-match press conferences, talking about how the players are young and inexperienced and sort of hinting that they're not doing what they should be doing on the pitch. We've seen this a number of times this season in games where they make questionable decisions. So I think it's a mix. It's just a mix, bro. Like, it's a mix of everything. I think the manager's getting a lot wrong this year. The players are a lot younger. We've got one of the youngest squads in the league. And then he's making errors. Players aren't doing well. I think it's just a mix of everything, bro. I don't know, Nobbins, if you got a different view on that.
No, I think that's good. And I know it's not necessarily the question, but I think that just generally this season we've been way too inconsistent for our own good, and it leads to situations where we have games like Forest, or we have games like West Ham, or we have games like Sunderland away, where we are the better side by a fair margin and we should win the game, but we aren't able to turn one of those days games into the ugly wins like a league winning side would normally do. If Arsenal have those games, generally this season, they're able to transform them into ugly wins. We've been able to do it a couple of times, like against Leeds, for example, but we haven't been able to do it consistently enough to ultimately get the points, even with a stinky performance. And I think that just boils down to the inconsistency across the entire season, whether that's due to player performances or team selections or formation setups. I think this has been the season, you touched on inconsistencies. I think this has been the season where we've, to my eye anyway, used the most systems and setups ever. We've played 3-1, we've played 3-2, we've played 2-3, I've seen us play 2-2. I've seen us play 4-1. We've played 4-2. We've played two strikers up top for the first time since 2017. I've never seen so many different shapes and orientations used. A diamond press has materialized this season as well. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think again that's why they should be having the conversation now. I really think that the manager and the sporting director need to fucking just iron out, like, how are we going to go forward? What type of players suit the way you want to play? Yeah, that's what we really need to do, man. Because like we said at the start of the stream, we look like a confused team. We don't know how we're going to play from one week to the next. You know what I mean? 1 minute we're playing like inside forwards. Next we've got Savio and Doku running on the wings. And it's like, the fuck is going on here? Like, we don't know how we're playing. And that gets to the players, man. The players need rhythm. They need to know where players are. Yeah. Look at the treble year. Bro, that second half of the season, man, very consistent team, very few changes. The tactics were the same pretty much every single game. We all knew what it was. Yeah, that John Stones would go into midfield. You had Gundo, KDB, Rodri as a box four, Grealish on the left, Bernardo on the right, Haaland up top. Everyone knew, all the players knew where everybody was. It was drilled into them game after game after game after game. And people will play that shit down. Oh, the professional players, they shouldn't. No, it's not. That's not how it fucking works, mate. Yeah, it's rhythm. It's the same shit. And when you're changing, these are dramatic changes as well, by the way. These are not small changes. These are massive changes to the way that the team plays. Yeah. Then the players don't know what they were doing. In the game against West Ham, first half, players didn't have a clue what they were. You should see the players were getting on the ball. God, on a watch along, I said, these players don't know what they're doing. I'm not going to go at the players. I'm going to go at the manager because the players don't know what they're doing because they got constantly getting changed systems. And I've spoke about this in the past. I've said the constant changes in the way that we play. Yeah, it doesn't help the players. They need rhythm. And who else needs rhythm? Young players especially. And we have one of the youngest teams in the fucking league. Young players need rhythm because they're learning. They're all learning on job. Yeah, maybe when you got a bunch of 30-year-olds that have worked with Pep Guardiola for 8 years, it's a bit easier because they kind of just know what they're doing. They've worked with him. They kind of get it. They can, implement what he's asking straight away. If you've got a bunch of 22, 23, 24-year-olds who maybe in the first couple of seasons and are under pressure themselves, they need momentum and they need rhythm, man. They go to Jimmy. He says, Remontada, let's go. Bro, I've still got the profile pick, man, but it ain't going to happen, mate. Let's be honest. He says, hit the like button. Big up to you, bro. Yeah, hit these likes as well, man. I mean, let's have a look at the week ahead then, mate, before we come to a close. We got Real Madrid tomorrow. We're 3-0 down. I mean, that team that we spoke about then, I mean, are you going with this team tomorrow? You know, maybe Nico G instead of Rodri or Gigi. I mean, what are you thinking about tomorrow? Are you sacking it off?
Well, you can't sack it off because there's still a game to be had. So you need to try to win the game. It is a bit annoying because we do have obviously a cup final on the weekend, which is probably going to be a bit more important than this game in the grand scheme of things. But you've still got to go for it. You've still got to try to give it your all. The best way to achieve results in the League Cup final is going to be having our best performance on Tuesday. The worst thing to do would be mass rotation, sack the game off, because that sends a bad message and bad mentality. So we should go for our strongest side. And basically, the League Cup final starting 11 should probably be the starting 11 that we see on Tuesday, but we swap the goalkeepers around because obviously Trafford's going to start in the League Cup final. So, yeah, I like that team. I think it's fun. We got to attack. We got to go for it. Might as well just start Doku and Shirky. They didn't start against West Ham, so why not? Yeah, go for it. Ait Nouri's hopefully now... Did Ait Nouri start against West Ham? He did, didn't he? Yeah, he did. He played 60 minutes, didn't he? So he'll be fit to start now, which is good. He was allegedly not able to start against Madrid. So, yeah, that would be... Yeah, I'd go for that team, definitely.
Yeah, I think... I think you get the first goal tomorrow in the first half. Yeah, then it's like, it could be interesting, but they're not good, bro. I swear down then. I don't think they're a good team, man. I really don't. I don't think they're a good team.
If you look at that, if you look at the players on paper, that's the worst Madrid side City have ever played against, realistically.
Yeah, I said that as well. Yeah,
yeah.
It's not even a debate. It was a terrible team, man. I didn't even know.
And yet they battered us. So what that says about us is another question. Yeah, but you've got to go for it. I think we need to score 4 goals. If we're being properly serious right now, we have to score 4 goals because we're conceding a goal. We just are. If we go all guns are blazing, we are conceding a goal. So we probably have to win 4-1. That's best case scenario if we're being properly realistic. Can we do that? Probably not. Never say never, though. And if you are going to do that, then you have to go. You have to just go for it. You've got literally nothing to lose. It's not like you can get embarrassed even more. We just got battered 3-0 in the first leg against one of the worst Real Madrid sides in the history of the universe or whatever. So you might as well just go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Big up to Marcus. He says, if Cherky, Ait Nouri, Nunes, Cousinov all ain't starting in the 11, then I ain't watching it. I watch Bodo Klimt.
Big up Bodo Klimt.
Yeah, I agree. No, he's got to, because the thing is, right, he's gonna have to play Kuzanov for me because we've got to be aggressive. Yeah, we've got to be aggressive in the game. Like Nobbins is saying, we've got to score 4 goals. We've got to be aggressive. We've got to push them back. We've got to squeeze them. That means we're going to have a high line. And it's going to be risky. I think Mbappe is going to be fit by what I'm hearing. So, you know, they're going to have that ball over the top is going to be an option every single time. And it's going to be risky. And there's going to be nervy moments. And we could get cooked. But because we're in a situation where we're 3-0 down, we have to go for it. We have to full send it. You know what I mean? And you just have to see what happens, mate. But I hope he plays Doku and Cherky in the middle. The thing is, right, basically we've got what, a 5% chance of going through? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, because it's never zero.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I agree. It's 5% chance of going through. Pep Guardiola, you've just said in a press conference that you don't think Cherky and Doku can work, right? Okay, well, Cherky and Doku are our most creative players. We need creativity because we're losing 3-0. We're probably going out anyway. We've got less than a 5% chance of going through. Play him and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it don't fucking matter anyway. You proved your point that it doesn't work, even though I think you'll find it does work.
Even though we know it does work because we've seen it work this season, but sure, Baldy, whatever.
Even
Not
though,
you, Baldy, this Baldy.
Chill on the bald thing, yeah, that is 2026.
This one.
Yeah. Just try it out. And if we get beat, we get beat because we know we're getting beat anyway. You know what I mean? We're 3-0 down. And if it works, bin, and then prove him to. So for me, yeah, I think this is the game to try it. I really do think this is the game to try it, man. And obviously, Donnarumma, it would be really nice if you could have a sick game tomorrow as well. This is where you're at, bro. This is what we bought you for. Champions League football, man. Knockout stages. Save us. And Haaland as well. If you could score a goal, it would be nice if you could score me a goal, bro. And you can't tell me you don't get chances no more because Cherky put one on the plate for you against fucking West Ham. Yeah, he put it on the plate for you. The first 3 ball we've seen from him for time. Yeah, and he still missed it. So,
you know, he's averaging more than one bozo moment per 90 at the Bernabeu. Donnarumma.
Oh shit!
Just an FYI. Yeah, played there 3 times. More than 3 bozo errors per 90, which is crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. Big up to Richard, man. He's an Arsenal fan. He says early thoughts on the cup. Early thoughts on the cup final. Bro, the problem is I have no idea what team Pep's going to play, and that's not a nice position to be. Like I could tell you, I know the Arsenal team that he's going to start. The only one that I don't know if he's going to play Kepa or not. I don't know if he'll play Raya, right? But I know the Arsenal team. Everyone knows the Arsenal team because Arsenal are settled. Yeah, it'll be Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, probably Calafiori at left back. It'll be Zubimendi at Rice, and well, actually, I don't know if he might play. He might play Eze. I thought he did already the other day. Probably go. I reckon he'll go Havertz up top. Yeah, I reckon he'll go Havertz up top. Saka off the right and Probs Trossard on the left. Right? There's maybe 2 or 3 players that are up for debate, but the system, you know what he's going to play. I have no idea what system he's going to play against Arsenal, and I have no idea what players he's going to play against Arsenal. So it's difficult for me to be confident. I think we can beat you. I think we've got the players to beat you in a one-off game, right? I think we could turn up, we can beat you, yeah. But I don't know the system that he's going to play. I don't know the players he's going to play. So it's like, it's just a bit of an L. But you know, I do feel like we've got the players to beat you in that one-off game. I do feel it, man.
We nearly did it at the Emirates, but for a last second error. So it can happen. Is it likely to happen? Perhaps we won't be the favourites, but yeah, like we absolutely can do it. You know, United beat us in the FA Cup final last season, and I know we weren't our best last season, but we were better than them. So it obviously can happen.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like, will Pep even try to fight the physical battle because we're going to lose it before a ball's even kicked? I don't know.
Well, it's funny you say that, right? Because I said when we was playing, I think was it the FA Cup game or was it the Carabao Cup game against Newcastle? And I said against Newcastle, one of the most physical sides of the league, I said, don't go out-tech them. Yeah, I try to out-tech them rather than meet physical with physical, because if you do that, you'll lose. And bro, we had Aït-Nouri on the pitch, we had Cherky on the pitch, we scored that beautiful goal. Remember when Cherky and Aït-Nouri, and we played really well, right? I feel like against Arsenal, I think we should go technical. Who are the most technical players we've got? Don't try and out physical the physical team. Yeah, and this goes back years ago, by the way, when Arsenal weren't this physical team, they were a technical team. They could never beat us. They could never beat us. Why could they never beat us? Because we were just better than them at technical football. You know, if you go back like 3 or 4 years ago, we used to slap them up on the reg. Yeah, we beat them like 5-1, 3-0, all this kind of shit. They never beat us. We beat them home and away all the time. Why? Because Arteta at the time, used to play technical football. He used to try and copy Pep, but he wasn't as good as Pep and he didn't have as good of players. And I feel like we need to not fall into that and go, oh, well, we'll take Arsenal on at what Arsenal are good at enough. No, play techie ballers, man. Play techie ballers. Go out tech them. Yeah, that's what I would personally do.
That's what I would have done this entire season. Yeah, I would agree. I said, as I said at the start of the stream, why would you try to out Arsenal? It's why teams failed to out Pep. And Arteta, to his credit, has decided that it's a failed mission trying to do that. So he's pursued a different path and it's absolutely worked for him. So Arteta does deserve massive credit for finding a different way to win and find his own path. So he does deserve massive credit for that, for sure.
Yeah. Let's see what you guys in the chat are saying before we. I want to speak about Foden as well, mate, because I'm worried about Foden, bro. Let's have a look at some of the chats first. Yeah. Big up to Herbal says that's how we played out of their press at the Emirates. Tech says Herbal. Yeah, we did, and it was nervy, wasn't it? Do you remember we was passing the ball out on the edge of the box, man? But we played technical football, so the question will be: do you have to play Reinders in the midfield, or do you play him as one of the 10? I don't know, man. But yeah, I think we go tech. Marcus also says you don't go band for band with physicality unless you know you're stronger. Those rugby players are useless when the ball is on the floor. Out tech them. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree with them. Bro, can I ask you about? I just want to ask you about Foden, mate. Yeah, because he didn't come off the bench. Did he come off the bench? I think he did. Did he get 10 minutes?
At West Ham, yeah, he got 10, 15 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, he got 15.
I thought he looked all right when he came on, to be fair.
What's going on with him, mate? Yeah, because I look at him, right, and obviously the minutes this season are a lot lower than maybe we would have expected for a player like Phil Foden. Yeah, I think he's still like in the top 7 or top 8, so he still played quite a lot. But a lot of that was earlier on in the season when he was being spammed out. If you look at the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Premier League games, he played 2 minutes, no minutes, 70 minutes, 3 minutes, no minutes, 70 minutes, 15 minutes. He was also benched for the FA Cup round of 16 game against Newcastle. What do we think's going on with Foden, man? Because he's still not signed his contract. So something's happening because he's got 1 year left on his contract. And if I'd have said to someone 2-3 years ago, Foden's going to get down to 14 months left on his contract and he's still not signed one, going into his last year, and he could leave on a free then, that'd be like, what? No way. What do you? Because I think the club are in a difficult position, right? Because I don't think Foden's playing particularly well. There's rumours that it's 300 grand wages is the demand, right? Which I just don't think you can give him right now because he's been miles off it for the last 18 months. He's had little spurts in the team where he's been good. We've seen it last year in January. We've seen it this year between sort of like September and November. He was decent, but on the whole, over the last 2 years, he's dropped off. And obviously now he's not even getting in the starting 11. What do we do here? Because I'm gutted that this has even happened, bro. This was a player that carried the team in the 4-peat year to a title. And since then, we've not seen him anywhere near those levels at all. For me, Nobbins, yeah, he looks slow. He looks like he's lost pace. Don't know if he's carrying an injury. Maybe he's carrying an injury. I don't know. Is he tired? Is he fatigued? Is he burnt out? Is it the team? I don't know. Is it the way Pep's asking him to play? I mean, what's your take on Foden, man? Because we need this guy back. We need this guy back at the top. If Phil Foden's on it, man, we're such a better team, but he's miles off it right now. And even when you say he's playing good, I thought he'd done all right as well. I thought first half against Newcastle or whatever, or game recently, he played all right. But his good or all right is still miles off his best. We know what his best is. We've seen it in the treble year. We've seen it in the 4-peat year specifically. And even his good games now are still a million miles off that. So what do we do here? And what are you thinking about it?
So first instance, yeah, we need to get the contract sorted as a matter of urgency, 100%. I'd actually argue it's probably better to offer a player a contract when they're not performing well because they're going to have less of a stronger bargaining position. Whereas if you offer a player who's on red hot form, they're going to want more from the contract. So the first thing to do is sort it out immediately. As for an explanation of like what has happened this season, I think I did like a whole stream and spoke about it for nearly 40 minutes. So I'm not going to get all my thoughts across here, but I'll do my best to try to summarize what I think. I think in the first instance, he played really well at the Club World Cup, and he played really well up until around mid-December, I think is the timeline. He was really, really good in that period. He was playing a new role, the slightly deeper role, which I really liked, left of centre. And in my opinion, that was when we were playing our best football as well. I think the longer term problem was that he was being used in a way that wasn't sustainable, basically, because he in that 2-3-5, he was being played as the left central midfielder, the number 8, and he was basically given the way I tried to summarize it. He was given like the out of possession responsibility of Bernardo Silva, but he was also expected to provide the offensive output of Foden, of Shirky and Haaland. So he was expected to be everything, basically. He had to help out in phase 1 play and building up from the back. Against teams like Palace, he had to help out with phase 2, and he's also being expected to assist with the outputs and like final third work and phase 3 work. And he was actually proving he could do that. But the problem was, every single preview I was doing, I was like, okay, and now, of course, Foden's going to get a rest in this game. And it never came. And it was the Real Madrid game, I think. That was the first game this season where I looked at Foden and I went, God, you're having a bad game. And he was, and I don't know if you remember, he was putting in corners that weren't even beating the first man. That was like the first time all season where a set piece delivery went off. And my only explanation to that was he must be absolutely shattered. And that's the only explanation I can think of. Still, unfortunately, I think around that time, Doku got injured. And then Pep's solution was to move Foden out of the role he was performing well in and pop him in Doku's role. But Foden isn't Doku. So he couldn't offer the same level of dribbling threat that the Doku was doing. So he wasn't able to perform as well. We then had to shunt him out wide. And from that point, the performances went off a cliff relative to what he was doing from like June through to like mid-December. So I think it's a combination of factors, because if we're being honest with ourselves, players don't go from being excellent to subpar for no reason. That there are reasons which happen. It's not about making excuses. It's about trying to find what that explanation is. And for me, I think it's a combination of being overworked in the first instance, and then the unfortunate situation with the injuries. He had to go play in a role which he wasn't. So he was just learned. This is the first time he's played this role this season, by the way. It was a pure number 8. Then being asked, okay, now I want you to play as an inside forward. Now I want you to play at left wing. Now I want you to play over here. I think maybe that's played a factor as well. These are different roles with different temperaments that are required. So I agree with you. I think that Foden's lost a little bit of bravery in the last couple of games. And I think that he's not understood the tempo that needs to be played at in the recent games, because earlier in the season, he was asked to play at a slower tempo. Whereas now, in these more advanced areas, he needs to play at a quicker tempo. I think that must be quite challenging for a football. I obviously have no idea. So I think that plays a part. And then I think that because of all those factors that happened, he then got out of form. And I then think that got into his own head. And I think that has led to a domino effect, whereby now what we are ending up with is a player who is fit and is able to play, but they now have lost the confidence that they had earlier in the season. So as a consequence of the fatigue and as a consequence of the shifting roles, I also think that the shift to a more physical, direct approach is horrendous for a player like Foden. If you want to go down the doubling down route of techie ballers, which is what we're doing earlier in the season, then that's perfect for Foden. That's tailor-made for him. If we are to pursue long balls, hoofing, outlets, a more transition-based game, as I say, more physical profile game, then Foden becomes a squad player at best. And that's long-term as well. So I think there's a combination of factors here, and that's a very long-winded answer. But I don't even think I've really actually scratched the surface of the problem, because I think that there's way more going on than just he needs to do better. I don't think that's especially insightful or helpful.
Bro,
There's got to be way
there's
more
always
going
more
on.
with any player. There's always more than they just need to do better. There's always something else going on, right? And I agree with you. And it's quite funny that you just said, right, the Real Madrid. I imagine you mean Real Madrid in the league phase.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, right? Because I've just brought up his numbers and stuff for the season. And prior to the Real Madrid game, he played 3 Premier League games before that match. Sunderland at home, he got a goal and assist. Fulham away, he got 2 goals. And Leeds at home, he got 2 goals. He played the Real Madrid game where you just said that was the first game where you thought he looked tired and was poor. He played against Crystal Palace in the very next match, scored, and then he's not scored a goal since.
And even in that Palace game, he didn't have a good first half. I think that was the first game where he was used in the Mordoku role. He didn't have a good first half. He helped change the second half by playing deeper, in the role that he was used before the Real Madrid game. And then from there, we haven't really seen that. So I think it's all like this big domino effect, which is
I definitely think you're right, though, because on the whole, you kept on every time you did doing a preview or you was doing a watch along, you was at the game. You was expecting, this will be the day that Foden gets a rest. And this will be, and then it's like, he's playing again. And I agree, because I keep mentioning the fact that I saw that graphic here of the players that have run the most distance this season in the Premier League, and he was the top player.
Yes. So
obviously, that probably isn't the same anymore because he's been benched over the last month. But
no, you're right. You're right. So per 90, let me just get the data up. This is from Gradient Sports. Big up to them. You should go follow them if you haven't already done so. This was posted in last week. No player in the Premier League this season has covered more total distance per 90 than Foden, 11.03 kilometers. So it's not just the minutes, it's what are those minutes, and it's and you need to add goals on that, and you need to add assists on top of that. It's very challenging to be try to be all of Bernardo and Shirky and Haaland all at once. Clearly,
especially when you're doing like you say, you're doing the Bernardo role, which is up down, up down, up down, up down.
Exactly. Now it clearly can work because we saw it work, but it clearly can't. You can't spam it out, as you say, to coin your term. You can't do it. Okay, and do this again, and now do this again, and now do this again, and now do it against Dortmund, now do it against Madrid, now do it in a cup match. Because there was even like I think like there was a game. Was it Brentford at home in the cup where he actually did get a rest, and then Bob got injured, and Foden came on. So even in the games where he was like due to get like these long overdue rests, they just never came. So it's not just purely about, he's fatigued or was fatigued. I think that was the starting point. And then the shift in role happened. And then the shift in approach happened. And I think all of that has boiled together and has created a situation which is not good for him or his confidence. I don't think it's one factor. I think there's at least 4 or 5 different moving parts going on here. And it'll be interesting to see what the more longer term approach is for him. Because again, if we are doubling down on, monsters, I wouldn't start Foden in my side at all. You wouldn't make sense to, because he isn't a monster. If you want to double down on techie ballers, then of course he should be one of the first names on the team sheets. So it's a tricky balancing act. I don't really know I don't know what we're going to see next season. Hopefully a better Foden, but it's a shame because the first half of the season he was excellent. He was one of our best players. In fact, now he's still our second highest goal scorer, isn't he, in the league? I think that maybe joint with Semenyo. I think they're both on
7. Is
that right? Yeah. Obviously, Semenyo's got more playing for Bournemouth, but for us, so yeah, and that's just a testament to he was only at the level we know he should be at for half the season, and he's still our second highest goal scorer, only behind Haaland. So, that's my assessment of the situation. And I don't think it's as straightforward as just step up, just do better, just be that guy. I think that's really reductive. It doesn't help a discussion or a conversation. So that's my piece on it.
I'm gonna glaze you here, bro. But that what you've just gone through there, I thought was fucking top tier.
That's very kind of you.
I genuinely, I've been doing YouTube now for like 6 years. Yeah, that honestly, bro, glazing. I'm gonna glaze you heavy. I thought that was a sick breakdown. I thought it was
very kind. Thank you.
Of the Foden thing. I'll be real with you. W Nobbins in the chat. Let me go through some of these super chats, man. Big up to Marcus. He says his confidence was killed at the Euros. He won everything in the game, and he has 3 young children to take care of. He doesn't have the hunger anymore. I don't know if you can say his confidence was definitely killed at the Euros. Facts. He's won everything in the game. He has 3 young children. I don't think the kids has got anything to do with it, if I'm being honest with you. Doesn't have the hunger anymore. No. I mean, you only really know that if you speak to him and you see what he's like in the dressing room and shit. I don't know. I don't know if he has the hunger. I don't think anyone can say for certain whether he has the hunger or not. I think the only people who know that are people who are around him daily basis.
Yeah. Also, like, respectfully, he's a much bigger and better, whatever term you want to use, City fan than I am, than LB is, than any of us are. Like, he just loves the club way more than any of us. Just clearly.
Yeah, I don't know if that's strictly true, that Marcus, bro. I'm not sure if that's I mean, you might be right. I'm not saying you're completely wrong. I think you probably are wrong, but you might be right. You might have lost the hunger. That does happen to some players, but I'd be stunned if a Manchester City fan who's been at the club for over 20 years doesn't have the hunger. You know what I mean? I just can't see that, bro. But maybe you could be right. Bill James, he says, huge concern, Pep not knowing his best side in March. Last season was a chance to plan long term, so no excuses. Semenyo has thrown up our setup in the air. Yeah, Semenyo, I think Semenyo's an interesting one because I actually still to this day don't. He's probably played 1 good game in the league for us in terms of his overall performance, but he's getting goals. So it makes the conversation really difficult about whether he's a benefit to the team or not, because he's scoring the goals, James. Yeah, he's putting the ball in the back of the net. But in terms of helping the team play football and getting the team play better, is he really doing it? I don't think he is. But then it's really difficult to have the conversation because some people just go straight to the goals and go, well, he's scoring on the fucking goals, so what are you talking about? And it's like, no. Ignore the goals for a second, yeah? As a team, does he benefit the way that we play? I don't think we're seeing that at the moment. Could we see it if he plays 2 up top and he sort of just becomes a second striker or a backup striker? Maybe. But at the moment, when he's played on the wing, when he's played in the 10, is he really helping us, build up and play better foot? I don't think he really is. But then he's putting the ball in the back of the net. So then it makes the conversation really difficult. And then people will say, well, if he wouldn't have scored, we would have lost all these games. Yeah, but if he wouldn't have scored, we would have probably played better. So then it's different conversation. I don't know. I think it's a very interesting one because I think he's not making us play better. I think he's making us play worse, but he's scoring goals. So it's an interesting one. I don't know if you want to say anything on that.
I was just going to say I've been more impressed with him out of possession than in possession for us. I know he scored lots of goals, but I've been more impressed with his defensive work.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, getting stuck in tackles and shit. Yeah, he's similar.
Yeah, the pressing.
It's kind of similar to Doku in that sense because Doku's very good off the ball. Doku doesn't get the praise he deserves off the ball, but Doku's better on the ball than Semenyo. But he scores goals, so I don't know. Some people will just look at the goals and go, "Nah, you're chatting shit." Maybe I'm chatting shit. Built to Netweed says, "Not over till the slim K-pop lady sings." Fair play. I think it is over, but we'll see. I don't know. I think the league's done and dusted. Yeah, if I'm being honest with you, the league's toast, mate. The Champions League, you get a first goal tomorrow. You get your first goal, first 20, 30 minutes. Who knows what could happen, man? Weirder things have happened. But the league's finished, man. The league's fucking over. And James says, Foden, Haaland drop-off happened at the same time. It might have done, actually. Foden, we say he started to drop off basically mid-February, yeah?
Well.
That's the. Did I say mid-February?
I thought mid-December, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, mid-December.
Yeah.
Mid-December. And Haaland, when did he drop off? Was it the same time? I think it's been a while now, hasn't it? Yeah, it pretty much has.
For a while, has he?
Yeah, so basically, Haaland had the Real Madrid game, Sunderland game, the Crystal Palace game, which he scored 2. That's Foden scored then. And then he scored against West Ham, he scored 2 and got an assist. And then after that, he got 1 goal in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. So yeah, they both fell off at the same time.
I guess that, again, correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation, but it does make sense. In theory, Foden is one of our best players, so I guess it does make sense if Foden isn't performing, then City suffer as a consequence. So I guess that does make sense. And I guess if City are suffering generally, then Haaland's suffering. So I guess it does go to show how important, that's an obvious thing to say, shows how important your best players are. Yeah, so it shows how important Foden is, I guess.
both were 100% overplayed. And I was talking about this for time, before the AFCON especially, saying like, you got to be careful, you got to use Marmoush a lot more for Doku, using Marmoush a lot more for Haaland, and they both definitely got overplayed, if we're being honest with you. Right, sweet. I think I've covered most of the stuff. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Have you got anything coming up today on your channel? Previews or anything?
Nothing out today. No, not really. I don't really feel... Don't think I've got the mental strength to do a preview for a second leg after we've gone 3-0 down. But if you liked my Foden breakdown or just anything I've said today, then my channel is there for a more analytical look at things and that. And we also have a good laugh over there. But yeah, if you like tactics and whatnot, then my channel is a potential destination for you.
Yeah, man. Go check it out, guys. Nobbins is the one. George, man, you hate Haaland. So this guy, bro, what's the difference between Haaland being shit and scoring and Semenyo being shit and scoring? Haaland's a striker. That's his job, is to score, and that's it. Semenyo's not a striker. So his job isn't just to score. It's to help create chances. It's to be good on the ball. It's to slow the game down when it needs slowing down and speed it up when it's speeded it up. It's a completely different player. Fucking hell. Chill, bro. Yeah, we all know that you hate Haaland, innit? It's cool.
Why do you hate Haaland? Why?
I don't know if he hates Haaland, man, but like he just, even when I say Haaland's had a shit game, he's you know. But there's no narratives, George. I tell you all the time. Haaland's been shit for time. And I'd happily drop him and play Marmoush or Semenyo as the striker. I don't know. There is no narrative. I've told you this bare times. But unless I say Haaland's shit and he needs to be dropped all the time, like George just don't like it, innit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he can do better. We could be doing better for him. Both things can be true.
Both things can be true. I said that on Twitter this morning, and some guys like, no, you can't say that. And I said, why can't I say that? I said, both things, that he's shit. He's been shit for a while. He needs to work harder. He needs to do more. But the team is also not doing what it should be for Haaland. Yeah, the first time that I'd say in a long time that we did that was when Cherky done the through ball against West Ham at the weekend. That was the first time we've seen it. When was the last time you've seen a through ball like that for Haaland?
Well, indeed, yes.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's what he feeds off. That's his bread and butter. Through balls in behind the defense. He's not got that. He's not got that. When was the last time that happened, man?
Yeah.
So he's feeding off scraps. Now, he should be doing better off the scraps. 100% he should be doing better off the scraps. And he needs to do more, and it's poor. But he's still feeding off scraps. He's still feeding off hopeful balls across the 6-yard area and shit. Yeah? Anyways, I'm getting out of here. I'm on Saeed's channel. Big up to, he says, O'Reilly was mega against West Ham. At least one positive. O'Reilly had a bit of a drop-off, man, since that knock. I can't lie. But, hopefully now he's back. He's fully back on it. You know what I'm saying? Because... that knock fucked him because he defo dropped off, didn't he, after that injury? I can't remember who was playing. Maybe was it? Oh, no, it was the game before Forest, I think, wasn't it? Did he get a knock?
I think it was Leeds who went off him, was it?
Was it the Leeds game? He went off with a knock. Yeah, and then he missed. I think he missed the Forest game, and then a couple of games he played, he didn't look too great. But yeah, hopefully he's back on it, man, and we'll see if he plays tomorrow. I imagine he probably will. All right, boys, man, we're getting out of here. Shout out to you guys for watching. Do me a favor. Yeah, there's still 800 people locked in on the stream. Do me a favor. Smash the likes up on the video if you've not done so already. Make sure you guys are subscribed as well. Check out Nobbins' channel as well. If we do manage to do a crazy comeback tomorrow, I'm imagining some pretty good review and tactical breakdown of that. I'm going over to Saeed's channel where I'm going to get cooked, I imagine. So that's going to be fun. And yeah, I'll be back later. See you in a bit.